still with God. We have a lot of people who are in pain. We have a lot of people who are struggling just to make ends. We were in Detroit last week and had a real good event. Had a chance to talk with folks who are struggling with many of the same issues we have here in Chicago. Schools being closed, health facilities being closed and cut back, people grappling with environmental crisis, people who want to work but can't find a job. The same kind of conditions. Poor folks who feel neglected and marginalized and who feel like they don't have a voice and that they don't have a choice. So our message to them is quite simple. You have a choice. You have a voice. And we are going to be there to be their choice and their voice for you. In our conversation, people are asking a serious question and saying, why can't we have jobs to pay a living wage and provide us dignity? Thousands of people in various cities who every night don't know where they're going to lay their head, who have no roof over their head. Why is it that they are cutting back on our schools? Why is it that millions of people who have to work full time can't find a job? Why is it that in the city of Chicago, we have communities where basically 16 to 19 people this is 7 and 8%. When people talk about, when we deal with the issue of violence in this city, we understand that. But I say that if we had talked about how we deal with these crime, economic, and social conditions, I don't want to talk about that. If you don't have a plan on how to put people back to provide their dignity, as a housing, healthcare, a clean environment, and respect for the other that we have no conversation. You say a job over the club, there is a recovery from the capacity required. I'm saying that they say we hear all the things about unemployment being 4.1%, and that the job coming back. But people tell us, Jill and I, that we don't see it, and we don't feel it. We come here for food, but we know we have basically recovered. The same criminals they call us from in the first place. That is why we have to build alternative power. That is why this campaign is not just about going to that voting booth, as important as that is. This campaign is about building a movement. It's about building an alternative to the status quo. It is recognizing that we are in control from change, but the change has to happen. So in this campaign, we say we're not going to play with the people. We're not going to lie to the people. We're not going to compromise our principles, and we're not going to succumb to fear. When we say no lies, what we mean is that basically we are going to have intelligent conversations with people. We're going to talk about the fact that We have some difficult days ahead of us. And that even though we have a very progressive platform, we understand we have to fight for that platform. Well, you know, this false patriotism and this militaristic talk we saw last night in that so-called commander-in-chief conversation. We have to do that. When organizations and movements say that they are fighting for justice, you know, we saw it happen with the Democratic Party when the movement for Black Lives put out their platform and started making demands on the Democratic Party. They didn't start that big memo in which the Democrats said, well, you know, we are opposed by Black Lives Matter. You know, in essence, you know, don't make any demands. Don't allow them to make any demands. Don't give any agreements to their demands. Well, we have to look at it. We don't do it. Because we recognize that we have to have all movements. We have to have respect. And that everybody has a voice. And we're going to make sure that they have a voice. Because we understand shoulder to shoulder in this struggle for liberation. So we're not going to we know that, for example, Bill Clinton pretends to be opposed to TPP. Now look, that's pandering. Because if you understand her history, her ideological orientation, you know that she is right. She is a liberal capitalist, and she's pretended to be opposed to that, and in fact told all of us that we were going to renegotiate the terms of that, and that individual was the former course of no, we said when we assume office, we're not going to be the managers of this corrupt system. We will living wage. We will eliminate student debt. We will put in the system we say no fear. We're that scared. We're that scared of Hillary Clinton. We're that scared of Donald Trump. We've been fighting for now decades, for centuries. And I come out of a movement, the Black Liberation Movement. You have to live a principled life. You can't vote your fear. We ask the question, when do we draw the line to our power? We know from the Republican side. You have Donald Trump in 2016. But folks, we have some people in that queue who are even more dangerous and more right-wing than Donald Trump. So, While we look at the Republicans and the neo-fascists on that side, we fear, we talk about moving to the right. We seem to forget or not recognize that the Democratic Party has been moving to the right and moving to the right even more rapidly. So, we say, we do all that line to start building popular power, dual power in this country. And we say we draw that line here in 2016. So, my friends, and I take my solution that I know we can hear to hear from our main speaker and our leader. Let me just leave you with this. We know that many of you are ready to struggle, and we still have to go out and replicate ourselves. We have some hard work to do, but we can win. We really can. In fact, we can't lose. If the objective is to strengthen the Green Party apparatus, if the objective is to link up with social movements, if the objective is to educate and engage with our people, as human beings, we can't create the conditions that we find ourselves in. We're born into those conditions. But you know what we can do? We have the power to decide how we respond to those conditions. And we have we understand that we want a real middle range. We want to restore democracy. We want to have an educational process that helps us to create healthy human beings. If we want to have real social security, if we want to have a society in which people who look like me and other brown people don't fear every time we go and get into a car and a police car pulling behind us. If we want a society in which that is limited, if we want a society in which there's no more mass incarceration, if we want us in a place in which we can breathe clean air and have clean water, we understand that we have to fight for that. Just don't get the money. And so, our president we have basically this campaign, this party, we're going to fight. We're not going to fight for you. We're going to fight with you. Transforming ourselves, building a new society. The power resides with us. It is truly in our hands. Thank you.
Our candidate for president of the United States, Joe can't tell you how incredibly awesome and inspiring it is to be here in Chicago, where you are leading the way and you are welcome. And Chicago, already you are making history. The Chicago Teachers Union has already made short weeks. Chicago is leading the fight against the privatization of our schools, against the charterization of our schools, against high state testing, leading the fight for an education system that's focused on children, not on generating profits, for a testing system, or for private charter schools. Chicago has been leading the fight on immigrant rights since more than a decade ago, when you brought out hundreds of thousands of people out of the shadows and into the streets to say their immigrant rights are human rights. Chicago is leading the fight to close down public power plants, like in Boston, where you close down 2 polluting power plants. And you are leading the fight for strong unions. Unions that create worker cooperatives. Like the unions that took over the Chicago windows and doors, and unions can't have the power. And they do have the power. And I want to just share with you what Alice Walker said some years ago, that the biggest way people give up power is by not knowing we have it to start with. But we know it, and we're willing to use it in this election and going forward. Because as you heard tonight, we do have a crisis on virtually every dimension of society, across our economy, our ecology, peace and security, and democracy. We have a crisis. But what you also heard tonight are the transformative solutions that are within our reach right now that we are leading the charge on. These social movements are rising up like we haven't seen in generations. And we are getting together as an unstoppable force. So let me say a few words about those solutions. But first, I just want to underscore how much we do have the power. We're told that resistance is futile. Why are we even bothering? I don't know if you're hearing that. I'm certainly hearing that all the time. Why don't I just be quiet and go home? Well, and what I say is, well, thank you. And I hear this probably 5 times a day from the media. This is like the central question. What could you possibly be thinking? Why are you doing this? How can you dare to challenge business as usual? It's doing such a good job for us, right? And who, the pundits and these media talking heads that are telling the American people to just be good little boys and girls and take our marching orders from the big politicians in the Democratic and Republican Party who are telling us we don't dare stand up and cast a vote for ourselves, for our future. We say to them, forget the lesser evil, fight for the greater good, like our God in heaven. We say to them, we've got news for you. We are not locked into this predatory economy, this predatory political system. In fact, we live in a democracy, and we have more than two choices who are bought and paid for by the predatory banks, by the fossil fuel giants, and by the war profiteers. We have another choice in this election. It's the choice you see on the stage. It is the choice of the Green Party. It is the choice of our campaign, my campaign with the John Baraka. It is the choice of a campaign that is run by people power, not by the power of money. We are the only campaign in the presidential race that does not take money from lobbyists, from corporate interests, or from the so we actually have the unique ability to stand up for what it is that people are clamoring for. Because in this race, the two major party candidates are the most disliked and untrusted in our entire history. Three-quarters of the American public now say in the polls that they want to know about other choices. They want to open up a debate. The American people know that we are in crisis. This election is not just about what kind of a world we are going to be, but whether we are going to have a world at all or not, going forward into the future. Are we going to put an end to these ever-expanding wars for oil that are bouncing back at us now with a vengeance? Nobody is safe from these wars for oil, these wars on terror that are creating more terror. They are not solving terror, they are creating more terror. We have 2,000 nuclear weapons on hair trigger alert now, and Hillary Clinton wants to start an air war with another nuclear power, Russia, over Syria. We say, we don't need another war. What we need, actually, is a peace offensive in the Middle East. We need a weapons embargo, and we need a freeze on the funding, our funding, and the funding of our allies that continue to fund terrorist enterprises around the world. This is coming out of nowhere. Hillary Clinton herself actually identified the Saudis in a leaked State Department email. She identified our allies, the Saudis, as still the biggest source of funding for jihadi terror enterprises around the world. So we say it's time to stop that funding, because we've been funding, for example, the Al-Nusra Front, which is cousin, a first cousin of Al-Qaeda. So we have been a party to this, as well as our allies, funding terrorism, arming terrorism, and training terrorism. We cannot do that and fight terrorism with the other hand. We've got to decide which is it. Are we calling it, or are we going to put it to rest? We got this madness going back in Afghanistan with the Mujahideen, which we helped create turn into a global terrorist movement as a great idea, right, for how we were going to fight the Soviet Union in Afghanistan. We created this insane terrorist enterprise that unfortunately went on then to generate Al-Qaeda. And then with our fight against Al-Qaeda, we then generated the latest version, ISIS. And with the damage going on right now, if we create another war, we will be sowing the seeds for yet the next crisis and terrorism movement. It's time to shut it down. As you know, that war abroad on black and brown people overseas goes hand in hand with a war on black and brown people right here at home. And the reason for that is that this war is robbing us blind. It is more than half of our discretionary budget is being poured into these wars, these insane wars, this massive, expanded, loaded military. It's not a defense department, it is an offense department. And we need to cut back this loaded and dangerous military budget. Almost half of your income taxes right now that's going into this war effort. It has cost us $6 trillion since 9/11 and the trade towers. $6 trillion when you include the ongoing costs to care for our wounded veterans. Well, the best way to care for our wounded veterans, of course, is to provide them the health care they need, and the housing they need, and the jobs that they need, and the mental health, and the drug rehab, and the decent place to live. But in addition, what we have to do for our veterans and our future veterans is not put them in harm's way in the first place. Not only, have we put them in terrible shape, but what have we generated with this $6 trillion? By the way, when you divide that up across America, it comes to, for every household across America, every household represented in this room is $50,000 for each and every household by the time we pay the cost of just Iraq and Afghanistan alone. And this is not making us safer. It's making us less safe. What have we generated with this $6 trillion? Failed states, mass refugee migrations, and worse terrorist threats. So we say it's time to start over. We need a whole new foreign policy. No longer. We have a foreign policy based on economic and military domination, which is not working for anyone, and it is a moral abomination. Instead, we need a foreign policy based on international law, human rights, and diplomacy, period. That means we cut back on our military. We call for a 50% reduction in this global trade. We put those dollars where we need them, right to the home. And hand in hand with that, we call for ending the war on black and brown people here at home. Not only must we demilitarize our foreign policy, but we must demilitarize our police, demilitarize our schools, demilitarize our police. Police violence is epidemic, which you know so well here in Chicago, and which you have been so courageous in standing up to and saying not only did Chicago need a new chief of police, Chicago needs a new mayor. That murder on McDonald was covered up for a year until that video was released. That was absolutely unjustifiable, immoral, and inexcusable. So we call for change in Chicago, starting at the top, where responsibility ultimately lies for that crisis and the ongoing crisis, not only of police violence, but violence on the streets of Chicago, where there is another inexcusable epidemic of violence. We call for the right of every community to have a civilian control board, a police control board that has the power of subpoena and that has that budget which is independent of the city council and independent of the mayor. We call for every community to have access to an independent investigator who will investigate every case of death and serious injury at the hands of police. And we call for a national truth and reconciliation commission, so we can get down to the bottom of this crisis. Because it's not only a crisis of police violence, this is a crisis of the violence of systemic racism that is part of the ongoing legacy of the criminal institution of slavery. to become a representative for once and for all. The violence in our communities is not only a matter of the guns, and we must put an end to the violence of the guns and the rampant, pervasive distribution of guns across our society. We need common sense gun control. We need background checks. We need to get assault weapons off the streets. But it's not only that, it is the violence that is hardwired into our economy, and it is this ongoing, long-standing violence of racism, which has created a state of fear, a state of armed camps, a garrison state across the nation. And we are committed in our campaign to actually engaging this honest conversation that must be had to bring all of us to the table, to share the real history of what happened when slavery turned into lynchings, turned into Jim Crow, turned into segregation, turned into redlining, turned into mass incarceration, turned into war on drugs, turned into rural population, turned into police violence. We need a national commission, a truth and justice commission, so we can come together across these divides of race, of gender, of religion, of Islamophobia, of homophobia, of transphobia, so we can come together as one human family, as one planet, as one Mother Earth, because we are all on one board, and we will all sail together, but we will not sail alone. A couple of things I want to mention before we open it up. I want you to know again how powerful we are, because we have the numbers, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but also because we have the solutions. These problems are not unsolvable. I had a meeting the other day with the Washington Post that then came out with an article in which they said that we are a fairy tale campaign. Let me say that there is nothing fairy tale about justice. Justice. That is not a fairy tale. One of the things they just couldn't get their minds around is this idea that we can actually solve the climate crisis at the same time that we solve the economic crisis by creating a Green New Deal. This is not rocket science. This is something we've already done when we created a new deal to get out of the Great Depression. Well, we have an ongoing depression, recession, whatever you want to call it. We have an economic emergency, and we have a climate emergency. They must be solved together. We call for an emergency jobs program to create 20 million good wage jobs for every job and need a full-time good wage job. You have the field created an emergency transition. We must transition because we're seeing it every day. Every month we have a new world record for the month of that May that has never been that hot before. We see in southeastern Louisiana the fires up and down California and Washington, the drought across the Southwest, the unprecedented storms, and the warnings that the science is telling us. And I know you don't have to worry about this because you're not on the coast, but everybody's going to be coming here from the coast, so we do all have to worry about it. If we're looking at 9 feet by 2050 is what the science is now telling us that we could see as soon as 2050. This devastating sea level rise as much as 9 feet. And it's not just one study, there are several state-of-the-art studies that are saying that we need to take action. We need to take action now. 100% clean renewable energy by 2030. Waiting for the end of the century. We're not waiting for another generation of fossil fuel infrastructure. We are not allowing the Dakota Access Pipeline to be built. There is a warrant out for the arrest of Ajamu Baraka and myself, but the ones that should be arrested are the company of the Dakota Access Pipeline. They are the ones who are breaking the moral law of humanity, violating the human rights of the indigenous people, identifying their grave sites, and by destroying the water supply, not only for the Standing Rock Sioux Nation, but for 7 people who live downstream and rely on the Missouri River. We say you are not doing this, not on our watch, not for our economy. The fight goes on, Standing Rock, and what an inspirational fight it is. We are seeing tribes and indigenous nations come together who have not worked together, in fact, who have been historic enemies for more than a century. This is an absolutely historic moment. And in fact, indigenous legends tell of this moment. They say that when the earth is sick and dying, that the indigenous people will come together and lead the way forward for us all to save humanity and Mother Earth. This is our told in indigenous legend. And that legend is being lived out right now as we watch the Standing Rock Nation. And I urge everyone who can to consider going there at some point to show support, because we have a long struggle here. By all appearances, this is not going to go down easy, but it's really critical. If we can win this battle, as we have already won so many from the Keystone XL pipeline, there are other major fossil fuel infrastructure been stopped by grassroots organizing over the past year. So give yourself a hand for making that happen. We do have the power. When we stand, we must stop this very violent and unacceptable pipeline. One other thing I want to leave you with, another way that we have power. Right now, there are 43 million young people, and not so young people, who are locked into predatory student loan debt. We say it's time to bail out the students. We bail out the poetry. It's time to bail out the students. Just remember, when they tell you that we are powerless, in fact, we are powerful. 43 million people locked in debt. If word gets out, there's only one place for them to put their vote. Right here. To cancel student debt. Because as the brother said earlier, education is a human right, and that includes higher education. It must be provided for free in our public colleges and universities and community colleges. It must be free going forward, it must be free going backward. It's time to pass. And remember, you don't need to keep that on the secret, because 43 million people, if they hear that they can come out and actually have the power to vote green and cancel their debt, 43 million people just might come out and vote green and cancel their debt. And that is a winning number in the presidential race. 43 million is enough. So we say, reject this propaganda that we are powerless. The minute we stand up with the courage of our convictions, we find that we not only have the agenda that the American people are clamoring for, are fighting for, but we actually have the numbers that it takes to win the day. And right now, we have the potential to open up. Bernie Sanders has now come out saying it's time to open up to debate. We are standing up and standing together for student justice, for worker justice, for LGBT justice, for indigenous justice, for climate justice, and for peace and women's justice. We are all coming together in this historic moment to form this incredibly powerful movement to put people, planet, and peace over profit, and to say, forget the lesser evil, fight for the greater good, our lives depend on it. The power to create that world is not just in our hopes, it's not just in our dreams. Right here in Chicago, it's in our hands. Let's make it so. Thank you so much. everyone in here, and especially our wonderful candidates. Yeah. So you all get there right now. I'm going to say that word. Money. Yeah. And now he's going to tell you how you can get yours to make this campaign a success and win your side for the town of Veronica into office. Here you go.
Hello, I'm a local community organizer and activist, and I just want to say, first of all, what a great honor and pleasure it is to be here for hopefully the next president, vice president, the vice president, activist, with grace, with Christ, standing up for all of us. And as you know, unlike the Democrats and the Republicans run over money on this side, we, the Green Party, we do not take corporate money, corporate bribes, we are not under control by their influence, by the two parties in the animal system.
We are people powered.
We are people powered, we are people funded, we are that campaign. Everyone's going to be reaching we give what you can because campaigns do take money from going to the North Dakota access pipelines, going to the next state where Joe and John can speak, traveling around to save money. On the seats of everyone's chair, we have QR codes. You can scan with your phone or bring it to the Joe2016.com. You can make donations. Also, if you look around, we have people collecting donation slips where these nice little neon sticks. And so, whether it's from $5 Fridays, which is tomorrow, by the way, thank God for Friday, $5 Fridays for Jill, or $29 for Stein, or going into something bigger, as much as you can. It does take money, but you know that you hear what you forget. You have representation in a country where right now you do not have representation. You have taxation without representation. And you know, as a Green Party, to get people to care and are involved with your life, for making change, for greater good, and so please donate online, ask your friends to help, and get out there with your time, and please help.
Those of you who know how to use that, donate that way. There are people circulating with baskets. You need to fill out a donation form if you are donating more than $250. What you do. There are also stations, folks have laptops and money. So please give generously. It takes a lot of time. We have to pay, and it was so inexpensive that they didn't include the air conditioning. But a lot of people share a big round of applause. Please do continue. We only have time for 3 questions, so please do and help make this people power campaign a success. So.
And as John said, we have a choice, and we need to help support that voice. So please do what you can for your community, for your Green Party, for the candidates here that are fighting, trying to change our system. Thank you.
How do you plan to U.S. and abroad? How do you plan to raise
Well, Jill sort of touched on a lot of that in her presentation. Let me say this before I make my comment. I'm really impressed with the turnout this evening. We have to be able to credit is due, and I want to acknowledge one of the premier organizers here in Chicago, Brother J.R. Flynn, just here. Wage and peace has to be a top priority in moving this administration. As Jill Stein, we have paid a tremendous price for the evangelism we've seen over the last couple of decades, and especially in the last 16 years. We have in place a commitment on the part of the elite to global domination. It is part of their national strategic strategy that was formulated by neocons toward the latter part of the 19th document for the George Bush administration and was adopted by the Obama administration. It says basically that they are prepared to use military force to maintain their global hegemony. It says that any regional threat that's perceived by the U.S. government will be dealt with militarily. It says that they will use whatever means necessary to advance that objective. And we are seeing the tragic consequences all around us. So what we say is we have to reverse that. There will be, in fact, a peace presence. We will use the power of the state for national reconciliation in these various conflict zones. We will prevent the intelligence agencies from engaging in subversive activities in various parts of the world. We withdraw from the African continent, the African strategic military operation after the time. We will abide by international law, we will strengthen international institutions, and we will attempt to impose that law, but to suggest a new kind of international morality.
One, getting my thanks to we need to get the money out of politics so we can get the people back in. That's what it is. And we're the ones who need to do that. Many years ago, when I was just first tricked into running for office, in my home state, in Massachusetts, we were passing a voter referendum to get the money out of politics. It's not rocket science. We can create public financing of political campaigns and stop this deal making between corporate donors and lobbyists and rich donors and politicians who make implicit deals. When you're taking the big money, there's an expectation of a return favor. So we got together in our home state, Massachusetts, and all of us who were being beaten back by the power of money, that is the labor unions and the public health advocates and the advocates for Medicare for all, for a single-payer system, and for an end to environmental racism, and the effort to shut down our polluting incinerators and coal plants. We were all being beaten back on these really critical issues by the power of money. We got together, and on the voter referendum, we passed campaign finance reform. Then the Democrats in the legislature, 85% of the legislature, they repealed public financing for political campaigns, and it told me that the revolution will not happen. This was back in 2002. It was pretty clear the revolution is not going to happen inside of a political party that is funded by the big money and the war profiteers and the predatory banks and the fossil fuel giants. We can get money out of politics. In addition to public financing, we can liberate the public airways. They belong to us. Campaigns don't have to cost us billions of dollars. We have free media for ballot qualified candidates. Then running for office is cheap, and we can afford to finance it publicly. This is not rocket science. This is about our standing up with the courage of our convictions and saying we are not going to take it anymore. We deserve real democracy, and we can have it now so that we can create the world that we deserve. Great question, Henry. Yes, this too is not rocket science. We need to start fully funding all of our public schools, and they all matter, because they do. Quality public schools, put it a different way. Quality education should not be a choice, because if it's a choice, some people get it and some people don't. It should be a right, not a choice. That means it's time to end high-stakes testing and teach to the whole student for lifetime learning. We need to bring back art and music, and recreation, and community education. It's not rocket science about how to teach kids. It means ensuring that kids come to school ready to learn. The biggest obstacle to learning is called poverty. It's time to end this poverty. So kids come to school ready to learn. And it's time to support our teachers and their unions, because they are the heart and soul of our education system. We need to value them, ensure that they have small class sizes, ensure that they have the budget they need to actually do their job and teach these students. And we say, go Chicago Teachers Union, you are leading the way to quality education for the nation. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Big thank you to Jeffrey. Big thank you to Nancy. Thank you to all the activists, seniors. Be sure to sign up and stay with us. Our work has only begun. We have just begun to discover our power. Together we are unstoppable. Sign up. Also, there are sign-up sheets outside. If you're not already on the pipeline, get in the network, because together we are unstoppable. We are going to give them something they never expected in this election. Let's make it happen. Together we will do it. That's really what we want to